Okay, fine, I'll go. I think goodness. Deep breaths. No, I think the whole ordeal is tragic. Look,
It is time once again for
that's
the
going
main
in the
show
thumbnail.
request, where the Trinity Bros give you their MMO opinions.
Uh,
All right, love how Solomon talks over the transition screens there. Okay, so
it's what I do.
what's nice is that he's on a separate track. I can cut him out or I can keep him. Okay, so
You should keep
anyways,
it, Dad.
welcome to Auntie M's and Co-op Trio Podcast. We are on our main story quest, so we're gonna give you our Trinity Bros MMO opinions, and this one is a doozy because we're MMO players, okay, and Blizzard is in deep doo-doo, okay. I mean, Riot Games already had, this is a California thing. Riot Games had a similar thing happen a couple of years ago. But this investigation has been going on for a couple of years, and you think that Blizzard didn't know about it, okay? Now, it's been pointed toward Blizzard. Yeah, it's Activision Blizzard, but it's mainly Blizzard because it's a California thing. I'm not sure where Activision's located at directly. But, you know, and more every day, you hear more and more people coming out and saying, I told management this, I did this and this and this and all different things, right? About the toxic culture. There are thousands of employees who think about like not coming into work, or those who are virtual, not being online. You know, there are people who have ultimately uninstalled BlackIsle.net, and there are people who are just like moving on somewhere else. They're just fed up with it. But there are a lot of people there who are good people who have a job there, and they're gonna get caught in the web of all of this. Not their fault, but then again, their management's fault. So I guess the question we talked about: will Blizzard survive? And are we going to delete Battle.net? And Diablo 3 Resurrected was supposed to come out this year in September, and makes you all wonder all this now. So Solomon, I'll go to you first, okay? I'm going to talk to JahZeal in a minute because I know JahZeal has a lot more personal interest in Blizzard. So I'll go with you, Solomon, about this whole thing of Blizzard. What are your thoughts? Will it survive? Are you done with them?
What are your thoughts, Dad?
You know, I usually give my thoughts in between your guys' thoughts, okay?
I know.
How
That's
I do
actually
things
a
around
really
here, you know?
awesome. Anyways, okay, fine, I'll go. I think goodness. Deep breaths. No, I think the whole ordeal is tragic. I think that. Well, let me sum it up. So let me sum it up in one thought. I think cancel culture is dumb, no matter which side of the aisle is. And so, in my perspective, there are certain thresholds that people will have, right? Everybody's threshold is different. Everybody's standards are different. There are some things that if a company does something wrong in somebody's eyes, they'll never touch their product, and that's understandable. I'm not knocking that because again, my what somebody or a company or actually even then a company and a person are two different things. So I would actually even place different standards on both of them. And if people want to call me hypocritical, that's totally valid argument. But anyways, um, if we were to say cancel something or someone every time they saw something that they did wrong that they didn't like, then we'd all would have to be canceled, right? And so what Blizzard did or accused of doing, let's just put it that way, pretty bad. And if they're found guilty to have done the things that they're being accused of, then yeah, they should definitely provide ways to compensate those employees,
Absolutely.
especially the
Yep.
females employees. Because I think they're let's not let's be fair. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of male employees that were affected by this too. But so whoever was affected by this should be compensated by the fullest extent of the law. That being said, would I stop playing Blizzard games? Only if they were to be arrogant enough to think that they've done nothing wrong, and if the proof showed otherwise. Again, key thing here is proof, right? So I'm not gonna jump on a outrage bandwagon and say, burn everything down because everybody else is saying let's burn everything down. Like, no, like you have to show me the evidence. I think the rational person, a free thinking rational person would say that, what are the evidences to suggest that Blizzard is doing what they're accused of? And then you weigh the evidence and say to yourself, well, is this enough to deter me to never ever play Blizzard again. And for some people, yeah, that's yes, and that's fine. That really, that's completely fine. For others, it's not. For me, again, it just really depends on the compensation. It really depends on how what the steps that they do in order for that type of stuff doesn't ever happen again. And if they legitimately change their environment such that, that they're really trying, then, I could forgive them, because I know I would want to be forgiven too if I royally screw it up, at that same standard. So again, I think too, more often than not, people are more prone to go either with 0 to 100. It's either extreme right or extreme left, and I don't even necessarily even mean that in a political context, although you could put it in a political context. I just mean just two sides of whatever discussion that you're having. There's and even then, there is a logical fallacy that where if you constantly pick the middle, that of in itself can be a fallacy too. I get it, but I think a lot of these times you're just gonna have to have compromise and be like, okay, well, if you never want to play ever World of Warcraft again because of this happened, like, great for you. You have standards, and if you're gonna stick by those guns, so be it, right? But is this gonna deter me from playing, say, Diablo 3 when it finally comes out? No, probably not. Probably not. Unless again they decided, you know what, we did nothing wrong when the evidence suggests otherwise, then I'd be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't give him my money then. So yeah, I think this is just speaks more volumes to the whole cancer culture that we have, unfortunately. But from what I can tell so far, and again, this is prone or this is subject to change as we get more evidence. So far, it does seem like the
Yeah.
work environment in Blizzard
Yep.
does strongly indicate that what these employees had to go through does seem to be true. And
Yeah.
there seems to be lots of good testimony to support that
Agree.
accusation. So, but again, it could again, unless it goes to court or there's other substantial evidence that a lot of these employees are just full of it, maybe. I don't know. It could go both ways. That opinions is subject to change. So I'll just leave it at that before I dig
We
myself into a
we
crazy hole.
live in a society that you're innocent until proven guilty. And just because
Right.
someone accuses you doesn't mean you're guilty. It has to be
Exactly.
evidence and backing up. You're right. More and more evidence coming out that looks like, and even today I saw an article off of Massive ELP where Bobby Kotick, who's the CEO of Activision Blizzard, basically said their initial response was tone deaf and a lack of empathy. So things are making changes there. Now I happen to work for a company that makes airplanes, and of course we had very much a serious problem a couple years ago with some airplanes crashing. And the what ended up happening was that the CEO of Boeing got axed. A head had to roll somewhere, okay? And so that was a visible sign that things were changing. And with all that also that's going on this past year, there's also been very much of a push to making sure that they are adhering to everything that they're supposed to be adhering to, court of the law, with regards to equal opportunity and employment. Okay, and so I think that if Blizzard may end up Activision Blizzard may end up having to see some heads roll. Okay, I mean, maybe Bobby Kotick and maybe J. Allen Brack, and then putting new fresh blood in there might change something. But you're right. The biggest thing is that we have a lot of people there who are working there who are good, innocent people
Hmm.
who never did anything wrong. I'm hoping never saw anything. Okay, but so they could have spoken up, and they're going to get punished for this. And I don't want them to get punished for this. And the games are out there. They've been out there. The games aren't the same thing. I mean, we know that in history, when it comes to music, art, books, wherever it is, there are a lot of good art, music, books, whatever. And you look about the actual authors and the artists and the composers, they are the most awful, reprehensible people on the face of the planet. So we separate who they are from their works. Okay, so we want to maybe hopefully we can separate all the things that Blizzard did from the people who are running it. But yeah, it's not over yet, obviously, and I think you're right. I mean, I've not installed Battle.net yet, but I'm playing WoW right now. I still want to play Diablo 2 Resurrected because that was done by a separate studio. A separate studio was working with Blizzard to do this, and so if we're not going to buy it, that studio gets hurt by it. You know,
Right.
the repercussions, the fallout that happens from it. So like, I'm almost inclined to think I would still buy Diablo 2 Resurrected. All right,
But
we're
I
gonna
think
go.
I
Sorry.
really quick, I think that was actually a really good point. Separating the art from the artist. Like, I wish I thought of that, Dad. Thank you for reinforcing.
The beard of knowledge.
Fear the knowledge, indeed,
right.
for sure.
I'm gonna get a reaction from SirJahzeal. He been a WoW guy for many years. He's uninstalled it, installed it in the past, and reinstalled it. And not playing it right now, I know, but he also has, I think he has people he knows in Blizzard. So we're gonna toss it to him and see what he thinks about all this thing. Will Blizzard survive? Are you going to uninstall Battle.net? About Diablo 3?
Yeah, I have 3 friends that still work there and are devs for the company. I also have over 200 shares of stock in Activision Blizzard. So some people may say, well, that makes you biased. And I suppose that's a fair assessment. So take what I'm about to say, knowing that I'm being completely transparent with you about
Oh,
that.
you're canceled. Next.
Yeah. Um, I will say those 3 friends that worked there, they were that working for Blizzard was a dream job for them, as most people that go to work for Activision Blizzard. It was something they only dreamed about in their 30s, and they got into their or 20s, and when they got into their 30s and had the experience in with other companies, all independent in these cases, where they could go and say, "Hey, look, we worked on this game and this game and this game, and we're really well liked in that industry for those things." And Blizzard finally was like, "Okay, we'll give you a try," and hired them on. They got into Blizzard, and all 3 of them, uh, you can just tell what is when I talk to them. It feels very much like their hearts were broken, that it wasn't the dream job that they thought it was. In fact, 2 of them have in the past expressed this frat boy kind of like environment. And it's funny because those 2 are the males. The female I haven't heard that much from. Maybe because the department that she was in, it doesn't have as bad of a problem as theirs do. I don't know what's going on with that, but it was the 2 male friends they have that were like, "Man, I don't know, it's kinda gets uncomfortable around here, like, we're gonna get sued one of these days," and here we are. Now, I am very much, in the same place where, hey, let the courts and the lawyers and all the big guys do their job. Let's see if this stuff pans out, because anybody can say anything about anybody. Anybody can take anyone to court for any made up old reason, and we need to see what turns out to be the truth through evidence and through the courts and the judgment. And I have kind of an inside track. I'm not going to give any names because I don't want them getting in trouble and getting fired or anything. But uh, it doesn't look good. The optics, as we talked about before, the optics look terrible. It looks really bad. And J. Allen Brack's response, this letter that he put out a few days back, was not satisfactory. And it was obvious. It was very obviously tone deaf is the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
And there are things in there that I know for a fact are not true. But we'll let it go to court. We'll see what happens. In what Where I'm at with it right now is no, I'll still play Blizzard games. I kind of wary about throwing more money at them at this point. Um, I still will get Diablo 2 Resurrected and play that. Um, but man, this kind of stuff has got to stop. It should have stopped back in the 1980s. I don't know. I think I've mentioned it before about the documentary I watched on Netflix about Atari getting started and how that company was ran. Oh, they were literally doing drugs and alcohol and having interesting adult style parties. When they were supposed to be making video games and whatnot.
Hashtag
It was
YOLO, bro.
Yeah. Man, it's easy to get caught up in sin and in that kind of environment, you know, and get caught up in it and lose yourself. And you know, they need to take this moment and say, hey, how much of this is true? How much of it is just untrue? And if any of that is true at all, what we're hearing, it needs to stop. It just needs to stop. And as far as do heads need to roll, if someone knew that this was going on, especially the stuff that was in, I don't remember who wrote it, but Heels versus Babyface had it on his YouTube channel like 2 days ago, I think. He read through the letter and it was just disgusting, the stuff that's in this letter. Um, I hope it's not true, but if it is, do heads need to roll if that's true, that managers and supervisors knew this stuff was going on and participated in it? Yeah, they need to be fired. They need to be fired. I'm not in the cancel culture either, but if you're allowing things, sexual harassment, and you're allowing people to come into work just smash drunk, that's nah, nah. You don't do that. I mean, I get it. Is it as big of a deal if a video game guy comes in a little tipsy versus someone that works at Boeing? I mean, there's a difference there. One's a little more important than the other as far as needing to have your head on your shoulders.
I know video games are so much more important.
They are.
Okay.
But
It was a joke,
yeah,
Dad.
it was a joke.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand your point.
I don't want heads to roll because they're trying to virtue signal or they're just trying to say, okay, well, if we fire a couple people, then everyone will stop hounding on us and we can just like sweep it under the rug and move on. We'll just put out some cool new video game and everyone will forget about it. No, I don't want you to do it because of that. I want you to do it because you know you darn screwed up. Speaking like my grandfather used to speak there. Excuse me, he's from Missouri, so they talk like that. They they messed up. We need to make amends. Yeah, I'm with Solomon. If they need to give reparations out, or you know, some of these people have left, and as a matter of fact, I don't know if we're allowed to say the word, but someone went to be with the angels before their time.
Yeah, they committed
Because of
suicide.
this.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty
Right.
sad.
I didn't know if we're allowed to say that word on here
Maybe
or not.
related
But
to the same thing, but that there was tie-in. There's
yeah,
causation doesn't mean correlation, but there could have been
it
there'll
doesn't.
be.
But if that's, man,
You know,
that really breaks my heart, man. That's terrible that
the thing
someone
is,
would be led to that.
so we know that the same California division, right, does these kind of things, did riot a couple years ago. You know, and Riot had to make changes, you know. So that's why it's
Right.
like I can't believe that Blizzard didn't have any warning this was happening, you know. Mike Morgaine, who left Blizzard, wrote a note saying this is not the Blizzard I know. It's like, yeah, the things happened while you were in charge, okay? And people started putting out like, dude, I sent you emails, okay, pointing
There
these
was
things,
stuff
right?
going on when Morheim was there.
You know,
Yeah.
and so same with like other people like who have left Blizzard are like, no, you guys are high up. If you didn't know about it, you just, I mean, like one of the guys, Jeff Kaplan, apparently he's the guy who wrote Overwatch. He left, but you haven't heard from him. And apparently he was pretty close to that guy, one of the guys who actually was named in the suit. Okay. And it's like,
Right.
wait a minute. So, and again, I'm getting wrong. I mean, you hear stories all the time about wives who never knew their husbands were the serial killer, okay, or having an affair, okay, you know, and you're like, you sure? And yet there are times like, no, you saw it, you just kind of you decided to ignore it, okay. I mean, it's both, it's on both sides. So that's why when I mentioned about heads rolling is the fact that becomes a very visible sign that you are dedicated to making a change. You know, that's why I'm thinking I don't know if Bobby Kotick or J. Allen Brack will survive this, because there has to be something, a reckoning that people will know you are making a change, because otherwise they're going to say no. Because people, I mean, MMR, Massively OP podcast, you know, with Justin and Bree, they were talking about, and Justin made a comment that he deleted it. Yeah, because until I see something visibly, tangibly changing from Blizzard, I'm done with them. I'm kind of paraphrasing him, okay? And if you happen to go watch the Co-op Trio podcast, they were talking about this thing too. So give a shout out to those guys. They have a recent podcast on this. I mentioned some things. So yeah, it is sad. Again, I mean, the fact that people are doing the work, people are literally innocent people in the company. I mean, I work for a company that I have been touched. We had about a decade ago or more, we had some executives screw up. And guess who had to live with it? We did. Now we sign a code of conduct every single freaking year to say that we're going to be honest, okay? I'm sorry. Every honest person who signs a code of conduct will still be honest. Every dishonest person who signs a code of conduct will still be dishonest. It doesn't change anything. But it became a visible thing that we had to do to make things better. So the government will go, oh yeah, okay, look, they made a change. You know, same with the fact that we had our CEO fired because of the whole 737 MAX. Someone needed to go. They needed to show a change that we are dedicated to making a change. So,
A piece of paper, got it.
yeah,
Solves everything.
so obviously, wherever you're watching this on YouTube, on my channel, Solomon's channel, or on Twitch even now, give us your thoughts on this. Right? Will Blizzard survive this? I've not played World of Warcraft in a while, so I'm playing New World as well, Final Fantasy 14. So no skin off my nose. I was going to play Diablo 2, sorry. So that was the only thing that really was triggering me. Now, I know people, Activision side of things wasn't nearly called out by the lawsuit, but Activision does own Blizzard. And you can argue, yeah, Blizzard ran their own thing. Like, yeah, but... So Activision's going to get hit by this too, but then again, we'll see what happens.
Check out the further adventures of Kennethan by liking and subscribing and watching me live on twitch.tv/Kennethan.